But yeah, a couple quick announcements and stuff that just wanted to address before we got into like our open discussion. Wow, Brandon, do you have a Star Wars Galaxy background there, or are you just?
No, I'm just outside.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Just enjoying the California weather.
Well, I want to pass it off to a couple people to make some announcements real quick, just to make you guys aware of some things that are going on within the community. First, I'll hand it over to Jimmy Oakman. Jimmy is doing something pretty unique and pretty cool in terms of player evaluation. So, Jimmy, I'll let you take it away and talk about what you're doing.
Thanks, Adam. We just wrapped up the first week of our player evaluation workshop. Honestly, didn't know how it was kind of going to go from the jump. We had 16 guys on the call, kind of a project that lasted Monday through Thursday, evaluate one of the players that we had here. And next week, we're already at capacity for week 2. We have 30 members already. Going to be a group type organization effort. Excited to see what they kind of come up with. I think collaboration is key with evaluation and trying to teach some things in that, what I've learned here in Brooklyn and kind of how I evaluate guys. Like I told them, I've already done 57 draft reports for this upcoming draft. So that's where my mind is. I think I can help a lot there, talking with our front office. I'm going to try to get some speakers on as well and lend their ear to you guys, and as best I can contribute, just let me know.
I think what Jimmy's really doing is making you guys do his work for him.
Anytime, Jimmy.
No,
got you.
Awesome opportunity. So Jimmy, you're having people kind of do player evals and you're kind of taking your NBA experience and evaluating those evals like a GM would basically and giving feedback.
Yeah, so this first week was kind of setting up the groundwork for going forward, just to see where everyone was at. It was evaluating a player that I know pretty well and seeing what their thoughts were. And I'm going to combine the format that they kind of compiled everything with other people with strengths and weaknesses and putting them together for week 2. And second week is going to be more evaluating 3 players specifically and kind of ranking them and evaluating them individually, coming to a group decision and some little curveballs in the mix that you never can expect. So I'm excited to see where this thing's going to go and happy about the group that we have so far.
Awesome. Thanks, Jimmy. Andy, do you want to talk about the book club and the thing that you posted about today?
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone that still is interested in taking part in the book club discussion, definitely still have time. Again, like I've mentioned from the very beginning, it's a very, very short read. Make Your Bed by Admiral William McRaven. You can get it. I think Amazon Audible still has free signups, if free like books if you sign up for Audible, or you can just get it online. It's a very, very quick read. We are going to do our book club meeting next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time here on Zoom about the book. We'll just talk about the 10 chapters, the 10 lessons, and everything like that. But what's really cool is actually the day before, and this is just completely random, a guy here in Dayton, Ohio, who runs like a leadership seminar, is having the author, Admiral McRaven, on a live Zoom session. So check the message board and all the information's on there. He's invited me and any of the Rising Coaches members that want to attend. Hopefully those people will be in the book club as well. But even if you aren't doing the book club, you're invited for this free live session with Admiral McRaven. If you haven't heard about what he does, like, it's unbelievable. He spoke at the University of Texas commencement speech. He did their commencement speech, and it's about 16 minutes, maybe 20 minutes long at most, and just talks about the life lessons that he learned from being in the Navy SEALs. He was actually the leader of the operation in 2011 in Pakistan that captured, I want to say, Osama bin Laden. So like the guy like knows his stuff inside and out, and it'll be a really, really cool book club. But then the opportunity to actually hear him talk the day before, I think, will be a tremendous opportunity too, as well. So if you have those opportunities, take advantage of them. I think that will just add value to not only personal and professional development, but add to the book club content as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and post that graduation speech right now on the member site. Cool. For anyone who hasn't seen it. It is pretty cool. We also have a lot of great panels going on that some of you guys have been putting on. Ashton, do you want to talk about maybe like a real quick recap of what you had this week, where people can watch it, like on the YouTube page, and then what's coming up for next week?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we had 2 great panels this week. On Monday, we had Coach Driscoll from North Florida, Coach Walker from Missouri S&T, and Coach Davis from Winthrop. And that one isn't posted on the YouTube, but I posted it on the members shared content page, the little tab on the members site. So you just click that link and it'll go straight to the Zoom recording. And then last night we had a fantastic panel of women's coaches, Coach Shimmy from Clemson, Coach Sheets from Loyola, Maryland, and also Coach Rosario from Pepperdine. And that was live streamed through the YouTube channel. So you can see that through the Rising Coaches YouTube site, but it was really, really good. I thought it went extremely well. Yeah, and next week we have a couple NAIA panels that I'm putting together, a faith and basketball one. We have Coach Wayne Simeon, who was a former KU player. He's going to give a great word, I think, and then we're going to kind of break out into small discussion groups. So that's kind of what's planned for next week. But yeah, I thought it went really well this week.
Yeah, the one last night with the women's basketball coaches was, I thought, one of the best things that we've had this whole offseason. They were really, really good. So check that out. The YouTube page is something that we're just starting to like get going. And so stuff like the panels that you guys do, anything that you guys do. And look, we want to encourage you guys to do stuff. Like if you want to get out there and do your own events, you're not stepping on anyone's toes. Like that's, again, the whole reason we started Rising Coaches was to give people a platform to promote themselves. And so Ashton's obviously done a great job with that. And that YouTube page is where we're putting all that stuff. And so if you guys know people who are kind of interested in Rising Coaches, but aren't ready to like pull the trigger and spend the money, that's a really good place to refer them where they can get some free content. David, I don't think David Bentley's here, but David Bentley's been doing some great panels as well. Tuesday mornings, he does a thing he calls the 3-level panel. He is also calling it Gimme 3 or Triple Threat. So he's getting like a head coach, like a high to mid-major assistant, and then like a low major assistant. So three people at various stages of their careers to talk about like, their how they're navigating the profession. And those have been really good. And then Austin Burnett, who I don't think, Austin, are you on here? I don't think he is. He did a panel today and he's done a couple. So yeah, if you guys have stuff that you want to do, like we're all about helping you guys promote yourselves. It's a good way to do it without like coming off as like a self-promoter, just put something together and we'll help you promote it and get the word out there. And if that's not for you, that's fine too. But there's plenty of stuff to consume in the content realm as well. Does anybody else have announcements or anything like that? Any housekeeping things? Jake, are we going to do another manager one? I know you hit me up about it.
Yeah, looking to do one next week.
Okay, cool. Hit me up after this. We'll nail down some details.
All right, sounds good.
Some other things on tap for next week. I'll get into like the speakers we have coming in a minute. But thinking about doing a last dance discussion or whatever Monday morning. Does that sound like something anyone? Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll schedule that. It'll probably be 10 Central, right before the Scott Savor show. But I know everyone's into it right now. So we'll plan on doing that Monday mornings as long as that thing's going.
Does anyone think that Jordan is not the greatest of all time? Like, is there anyone here that?
Any LeBron? Come on, there's got to be some people in the LeBron camp.
I think
I'm not even touching that one.
This seems like an educated group right here. So
The argument is skewed. We should all appreciate greatness. Greatness equals greatness.
Well said, Jake.
Well, my point is, how can we compare the eras?
Yeah, here we go.
Let's do this.
I have to unmute the laugh because I love it.
I mean, do we want to do this now, or are we going to wait till Monday? I'm fine either way.
No, because to know if someone is the greatest
it?
of all time, we have to compare the eras first.
He's not the greatest of all time, if you ask me. That's just my humble opinion. I welcome all challenges. Let's do it.
Who? Are we talking about?
Jordan isn't.
So who is then?
We look at professional sports by rings, right?
Can't just answer, could you? You couldn't just say a
we,
name.
we look at it by rings, right?
Yes
Right.
and no. I think that.
Okay.
that
So
rings
if we look at it by rings, he doesn't have the most. If we look at it by numbers, he doesn't have the best. He doesn't have the greatest numbers. So what are we basing it off of?
So would you
And
then
my-
say? Would you say Kareem or Russell, or who would you say then?
For me, it's Russell, because I look at it how many championships you have.
Mhm.
You can't beat 13.
So
And-
Robert
and
Ory's
pe-
better than Jordan.
I also feel like people give
Right.
Jordan a lot of pass, forgetting that like the thing that they used to
Steve Kerr's
criticize
better than Jordan.
LeBron is what they give Jordan passes on. He did not make all the play. He did not make playoff every single year, but yet LeBron get a lot of flack for that. He didn't win everything. LeBron get a lot of flack for that. I feel like people that are, if you sold on Jordan, yep, he's the greatest. It doesn't matter what happened. Before Pip, after Pip, in the middle, there's a lot of areas that you can challenge. He was not that. So for me, I look at numbers and I look at championship. He doesn't have, he's not the top dog on there, so he's not. He was the most dominant of his era.
So,
without
so
question.
like Fabian said, then Big Shot Bob is better than Michael Jordan. Robert Ory is a better player than Michael Jordan.
Rings and numbers. Ring and numbers.
I think the bottom line is that
the Zoom meeting, but I have just changed my mind.
My thing with Jordan is he's got every time he was in a position to win it all, he did. He does have elite numbers, not only offensively and scoring, but whether it's rebounds, assists, steals, the way he defended, the way he led his team to victory. And it wasn't just like his Bulls teams either. Like I'm talking about the USA basketball teams. I'm talking about like when he was, with Caroline and stuff like that. And I'm saying Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all times. I'm saying he had the best career of all times in whatever time period that you want to go from college to professional to USA basketball and international play. Like I just think he was the most dominant player and probably not the most dominant player. He's just the best player of all times with all those things because he always won. He always produced. He was always competitive on both ends of the floor, and he made other players around him better.
He always produced
Against
the Pistons. He produced.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
My statement on that Pistons thing was, I feel like the Pistons pushed him over the edge to get to that, next level, in my opinion. I feel like the Pistons how can I put it? It was what he needed to get over that edge because they knocked him around pretty good. And he finally went, you know what? I had enough of this. And
wait, so what I'm hearing you say is the Pistons essentially made him who he became. Is that right? Am I hearing you right?
What he became?
That's a lot of things that happened to
LeBron. Like in the '90s, yes.
I'm just saying. It's a lot of things that happened to LeBron. He get flack. Oh, you had to go to Miami. You had to do this.
Here's just so you know, from Michael Jordan versus the Pistons, he was 27 and 21. He averaged 31.1 points per game. He averaged 5.6 assists, 2.2 steals, a block, and shots 47% from the field against the Pistons. So, yes, he did at all times put up numbers against
killing them.
Bron put up numbers too, but you didn't win the championship. It doesn't matter.
All right. I gotta mute everybody and move on. Sorry, Mandel. No one's agreeing with you. You're way off base. We're moving on. But no, that's a great teaser. That's a great teaser for Monday. We'll talk about it more then if you want to continue the discussion. And I think they're talking about the Pistons series in the next episode. So there we go. Perfect. How was that for a segue? All right. What else do we got for next week? Oh, the member spotlights I thought were really good. We did that this week for the first time. That's another thing we're live streaming on the YouTube page, but we're going to just pick members randomly. And we're going to give you guys like 15 minutes and give you the stage and let you talk about whatever you want to talk about. So we had 2 people this past week do it for the first time. And this is something we're going to put on YouTube so anyone can see and you can use it, you know, to like promote yourself or whatever. You can have your mom tune in if you want to do that. But so Ben Tanoff did it. He was the first person to go on Wednesday, and he talked about like how he's been attacking the job market in this off season. So that was really good. And he's done some unique things that's kind of separated himself. No, Jorge, your mom does not need to be a Rising Coaches member to tune in. Thanks for asking though. And then Baxter Price went next, and Baxter like didn't really have anything he wanted to present on. So I just kind of like interviewed him, and we talked about like where he's been in his career and like his career aspirations and what he wants to get to next. So everyone, I mean, we got a lot of members to get through, but everyone's going to have an opportunity to do that at some point. So that's something you could be thinking about, is how do you want to spend your time when the member spotlight comes around to you. So that was really good. And we'll keep doing that on Wednesdays. We got Drew Hanlon coming in next week, which I'm excited about. Brandon, are you on here? What's Drew going to talk about?
You know what? I could ask the group now. Would you rather have a discussion with Drew about shooting, or would you rather have a discussion about player development and putting together player development plans?
Maybe put it in the chat. Type it in the chat, whatever you
prefer. Throw it in the chat. Or yeah, go ahead. That works.
Player development or shooting. Oh, player development so far. Oh yeah, everybody. Okay.
Sorry, Adam. No shooting. We covered the topic though.
Yeah. Wow. Unanimous. That was crazy. And then on Thursday we got Stan Van Gundy in the house. So that'll be awesome. Looking forward to that one. What else? How are the 11 and 2 o'clock time slots for you guys? That's another thing maybe you could type in the chat. Like, we pretty much have like around 20 people at everything we do, like no matter what, which I'm fine with. But is there like a better time that's better, you know, a time that's better for anyone else? If there is, like, put it in there. Evenings, mornings, later in the afternoon, earlier, whatever. I think that's all I got in terms of like housekeeping stuff. So I kind of want to open it up, and I'll read these things in the chat that you guys are putting in right there. Is Emmanuel on the call? Are you still in here, Emmanuel?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. I told you last time, like, or 2 times ago, you were too quiet. So I'm gonna throw it to you, man. Let you start us off this time. Like, what have you been doing over there? You in Dallas?
Yes, sir. Still in Dallas.
Okay, so what have you been doing these last few weeks?
Watching a lot of Synergy for sure. Just checking the job market. It's, you know, I don't know. We're not technically done here. We're just waiting word on when we will finish. But you know, trying to stay busy, trying to stay active, getting outside with my family and walking around the neighborhood, trying not to get fat. But yeah, a lot of Synergy. I've been a lot of connecting with coaches. I've connected with a lot of people on here. You know, me and Jimmy have had a good talk over the phone. I've really enjoyed the Scott Savor show. If you guys have not tuned in, that dude is a bundle of energy. And it's just good, the things that he brings up, the topics that he brings up. Like, I think a couple weeks ago, he brought up kind of savings for during this time, kind of plans that you need to have as a coach during this time. Like, how does your savings look, and your communication systems with your teams. So a lot of things that you know, as a young coach, I don't really think about, but he brought it to light. And then this week we talked a lot about good videos and books and resources that is good for coaches to watch and to read. So I think that's a plug for Scott Savor show there.
Yeah, thanks, Emmanuel. Someone's laughing. Who's laughing over there? Yeah, Scott Savor is nuts. I think we're going to change the name to a show to Get Your Ass Up with Scott Savor, because he comes at you like a freaking hurricane. What else? What else is like have people been watching anything or whatever? Netflix, basketball related, anything that stands out or that they want to talk about?
The Outer Banks on Netflix is a new show. You gotta tune in. Outer Banks.
What's it about, Matt?
It's basically kind of like a mystery show. They're looking for like treasure, but it's out like near my area. So I'm really into it right now. Watched 5 of the episodes out of the 10 so far. It's pretty big. It's top 3 on Netflix right now.
The Outer Banks. Is it like a drama or what?
A little bit of both. A little mystery, drama, a little like romance stuff. It's kind of weird, but it's a good show. It's got a bunch of different genres in it.
Nice. What else? Anybody else?
On that Netflix, if you have not seen Money Heist yet, you need to take a look at that, but you have to put some time out for that. It's basically this genius who puts this team together to go rob the highest places in Spain, and things kind of unravel. A lot of teamwork stuff that you can take from that. A lot of leadership stuff too that happened in there that you can that I've taken out of it. So plus it's a heck of a show.
Mendel, your credibility took a shot earlier, but hopefully you can get back on track.
Hey, I stand on what I said, and I'll make a strong case for that too. I can make a case for it too.
I've got a question. Is anybody doing anything unique with their teams during this time apart right now? Like just Zooms, or are you guys doing individual meetings, watching film, sending them tape? Like what are people doing right now with their programs?
For my teams, we've been doing Zoom meetings, just giving them an opportunity just to talk about what's going on, kind of letting them get away, because my girls right now, they're doing distance learning right now. They're doing online learning. And from when I spoke to them last night, a lot of them seem to be stressed out about it because they were just thrown into it. And so it's all a different situation for them. So we do Zoom meetings just to give them an opportunity just to, get away from it, to not think about it. We do a lot of Zoom workouts on Wednesdays just to keep them active, work on their ball handling, different things like that. And then we also, on Monday evenings, we watch film. So I'll throw in a game from this past season and we'll just go over it again. We'll further break down what went right, what went wrong, what can we use for next season, what can we take out for next season, just things like that.
That's good. Thank you. Anybody else doing stuff?
Yeah, we use Huddle. So I've been allowing our guys to be selfish to where each week they got to create their highlight tape and have a minute's worth. So I'm just making them go back and watch themselves and create their own highlight tape. It got to be 4 minutes at the end of the month once we figured out school was done for the rest of the year. So over the next 4 weeks, they'll create a minute. And it's forcing them to watch themselves in film, but it's also forcing them to learn how to use the program. So when we get to, I return a lot of guys. So when we get to film next year, they know how to use it themselves, and they can kind of navigate the system more. And I'm hoping it'll help make them watch film more next year.
I like that. Empower them a little bit. That's good.
I think the biggest thing with highlight films, because yesterday I just decided to crank out all my recruit forms, is that in the first 30 seconds is when I'm interested for the rest of the 2 minutes. If I'm not interested in the first 30 seconds, then I just move on to the next one, to be honest. It's just, I just have 150 forms to get through in a week, and I really want to be interested in the player rather than watching somebody hit a free throw in the first 10 seconds. I'll just next one.
You want to know what and I'm the same way. And I tried when I was at junior college, and again, like everybody does things differently, but like I just know like when I'm watching a highlight tape, I want to be impressed right away. So like I want to see like give me athleticism, like show me your most athletic play. Like even if it's not what you do, like give me your most athletic play. So right away I can at least be like engaged and locked in. It's like, okay, that's impressive. I want to see more instead of like a catch and shoot three. Like I can see a catch and shoot three in the next minute, but like give me something that's going to blow me away to want to watch more. And so many times, like I'm watching film, and it's like, oh, this kid just made a fundamental left-hand layup through traffic. Okay, cool. Like show me you splitting a ball screen, jump stopping, and kicking it to a nice shooter, or like your most athletic play. Like get me engaged right away.
Absolutely. I think that's a lost form, right? Is like kids just sending film just to send film. Where it really needs to be, if I see a dunk in the first 30 seconds, I'm watching the rest of the 2 minutes. And I'm not talking about like he's fast break, wide open. I'm talking, something athletic, like you were saying. Or, a deep three. Maybe he's got endless range. I'll tune in. If he's just making, a right-hand layup or a left-hand layup, that's standard, and I can watch every film and do that. That's just what comes up.
Yeah, no, I agree. Is anybody doing any like leadership, sports psychology? I know we talked about like watching film a little bit, and I think talking, Matt, like you said before, I think just having a way for sometimes your players just to verbalize some of the things that they're going through. I mean, we're in unprecedented times at our ages. Like I can't imagine the times that they're in right now at such, whether it's, high school or even college, like they're in such formative years of their lives. Like just to be able to verbalize some of their fears, some of their stresses, some of their anxieties, I think is really important. Is anyone doing anything with sports psychology, visualization, goal setting, anything right now with your teams?
Andy, to answer your question, every one of our guys is meeting weekly with a sports psychiatrist over the phone. Just something we were able to set up with our person here through campus. Most of them are only 15, 20-minute conversations, but just something to kind of let them talk to someone who's not a coach, not a parent, kind of that, that voice behind the curtain where they can probably be a little more free than they might feel like they could with one of their coaches or teammates or family members, and just to let them get stuff off their chest. And they've been doing it. This is the third full week we've done it now. We had a couple guys who we had meet with them originally, and we actually got it from our golf coach. Because golf's such a mental sport that he was talking about how he feels like his girls and his guys are really well equipped during this time, because golf is a very solitary, very mental game. And so we kind of stole that from him. And so our guys have been speaking once a week with a sports psychiatrist, anywhere from 15 to up to 30 minutes, depending on what they want and what they need. And, obviously we're not getting direct reports from the psychiatrist, but she has told us some of them are really open and excited to talk. And some of them it's like pulling teeth and, trying to get these guys to understand that, like you said, this is unprecedented time. So we're trying whatever thing we can to get them to do that. And then another thing, we actually have them doing a book club as well. They're reading the Magic and Bird book, When the Game Was Ours. And we're doing it in a Zoom setting where we get the team together and they just discuss it, trying to get them just doing something fun and goofy and finding out who can read and who can't is always interesting at this point. But, so to mention that earlier, yeah, we have been doing the book club as well and trying to keep it as low key as we can until, finals coming up. But the sports psychiatrist thing, we've heard from our guys, they've loved it.
Who picked out?
I don't know that what's that?
Who picked out the book?
I did, because it's only one of 3 books I've read in my life. So it was one that I didn't have to reread and I could discuss with them. It was either that or something in my daughter's 6th grade English or math that I'm helping her with right now. So that was the easiest one that we could do, and I loved it. I'm from Michigan, and I grew up about 20 minutes away from where Magic's from, so it was personal to me. And so that was why I chose it. Plus, it's a different time, a different era, and most of these guys. You talk about the Jordan versus LeBron. Most of them just have never seen those guys play. They don't understand how good Larry really was and how good Magic really was and how those guys revolutionized. If it wasn't for them, you wouldn't have had Jordan, and you wouldn't have had the guys that came after that. So that was really cool. And so getting them into that, and then we can actually argue with them about how good Larry really was. And walking into a 3-point contest, asking who's going to be second, those type of things. And, you hear those stories, but to actually read about it, and Jackie McMullen, who wrote the book, did an amazing job. So that's why we chose it. And I thought it was an easy read. It was a quick read, but it was really, really interesting. And so those two things I think have helped our guys tremendously. The sports psychiatrist thing seems to be going really, really well, and helping them just get stuff off their chest that maybe they can't tell us or can't tell their parents, or, or maybe it's just helping them get ready for next year, whatever it is. Seems to be, so far so good.
We're doing some team and individual goal setting, and then they're coming back with what they have, and then we're kind of giving feedback, just to kind of help them, like you were saying, take ownership and stuff, but also trying to kind of shape them to where we see things and where we see them individually. So I know that's one thing we're doing, and then we also, for our incoming freshmen and our 2 transfers, kind of pairing them up with guys who were here last year, and just trying to help them, because we just talked about how this time normally they'd be working out together, they'd be in the weight room together, but they're going to come in and just not even know each other. So just trying to set up informal kind of conversation, pairing them up together is another thing we're working on.
Are they doing that like via Zoom, via phone call?
I think they're just FaceTiming each other for the informal thing, and we're just kind of checking and hoping that they're doing it. And some of them have kind of
requirements. There's no like 10 questions asking them.
Yeah, no. But that, I mean, I might bring that up. And then the goal setting thing, that's going like kind of team meeting by team meeting, where they're bringing it up, and then that type of thing.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Anybody else? Thanks
Well,
for the ideas.
What we do right now internationally is that well, first we're trying to recruit, but this is a big challenge because of the pandemic. The pandemic due to coronavirus. I'm coaching in France, head coach. Head coach. So we're trying to recruit, but the budget's going to go down by probably 20 to 30%. So the guys that are gonna come back next year, I'm gonna send some film for them to see, and then we're gonna talk about it and build together a player development plan. But I want it to be together, because I want him to take ownership in what we're gonna do. It's not just me telling, well, I have 3 or 4. I'm gonna have 4 players under my belt, and I don't want to dictate things. Say it's going to be like this, it's going to be like that. I want him to take the ownership, so we have to build it together. So right now, I just send film to the couple of players that we signed that are under my belt, and I'm trying to build like a template to orientate the conversation towards what we want to do with them, but I want them to reflect on that and to take ownership of that.
Maxime, how has it been in France? Like they're talking about starting to slowly reopen stuff here in America. Like, what's it like there?
Yeah, they're gonna start reopen things about May 11th. That's the first date, but school's gonna reopen like little by little. It's gonna be half of the classrooms for 3 days, then 2, 3. The other half of the classroom is going to go to school the other 3 days. It's not going to be anyone at the same time. Beach is still going to be closed until at least June 15th. So we don't know about the vacation, the travel, and all that stuff. They are very they take a lot of precautions here. Everybody was quarantined at some point, so we don't know. The season stopped on March 15th or 17th. We were on the road. We had to take the plane back, and still haven't been to any gym yet. So March 17th, everybody was shut down.
Yeah, sounds pretty similar to here. Good deal, man. Paul, do you want to talk about what you got going on in your background there?
Oh yeah, this is just when we started the MJ Michael comparison.
Oh, thanks.
I didn't know how long that was going to go for, but
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that discussion on Monday. And just be a fly on the wall. It's one of those things, and nobody ever changes their mind. Nobody ever changes anybody else's mind, but it's fun to talk about.
No doubt. Well, what else, guys? Anyone else have anything they want to share or talk about?
So I know a lot of guys at the college level are doing stuff with their team. Is there anyone that coaches high school that's doing stuff with their teams during this time?
Oh, I explained earlier. Like I said, we're just doing Zoom calls with our players. That's about it. Really doing workouts, watching film with them, just giving them time to talk to each other, kind of air out everything that's on their mind. And we have a group chat too, and that's how that's where I had a lot of the girls were telling me about how they were kind of stressed out about the online learning. So just kind of guiding them through, because I've been through it. I wasn't forced into it, but I've been through it before in college doing online classes. So just kind of help them out, just kind of giving them a guide. Because especially during this time, and you're forced into something, you don't know what's going on. It's a lot of unknown, especially for young kids like that, for young high school kids. It kind of messes with you a little bit. I know as adults, I can only imagine what we're going through. I can't even process what they're thinking about right now. So just being there for them, being an outlet outside of somebody inside their home, being there for them, just to listen to them, help them out with whatever, whether it comes to schoolwork or just, listening to them at that moment in time. So that's what all we've been doing pretty much, because we don't know if we'll even be able to have our usual June summer league stuff. So that's typically the time where they step on the court, and we don't even know if they'll have that. So just kind of trying to keep them occupied and trying to take their mind off of school for a minute and off of this whole pandemic. That's really what we've been doing.
Hey, Alex, I don't know if you've heard of the Home Court app or if any of you other guys have, but I find that some of my guys have really been loving that. Just you can set up little challenges with them, see how many dribbles they can get in X amount of time or how many shots they can get off. It's a pretty good one where they can just set up their phone or their iPad in front of them and it counts for them, and it has little different things that they touch and they can challenge themselves with it. I think it's a pretty good one to keep them occupied and give you something that's task oriented to do.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's highly suitable for college, university level guys, but it works, or girls. But I think it works better with the high school age.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else at the high school level doing anything unique for any level?
I'm not at the high school level, but my dad is, and he meets Monday through Friday at 3:15 during that time for an hour to just hang out with his team. There's about 14 guys, and it's not mandatory, but they all show up and they talk basketball life. They're also, like Matthew was saying, they're really struggling with online learning. So that's a good time for them just to ask for help if they need it. So he's been doing a really good job of that, and it's not mandatory, but they all show up. They usually all show up just an hour, stress-free, nothing to worry about. And then he's also put together a virtual basketball camp that he's doing for all K through 12 kids. So he's getting that set up. So that might be something you could do with your team. So yeah, there's a couple ideas.
Yeah, thanks. That's a good one.
Cool. Anybody else?
Are there any NBA guys in this group?
We got a couple.
Are there any NBA guys in this group that are working for an NBA team? What are they doing right now?
Jimmy, Patrick, Emmanuel, you guys want to chime in? Any of you guys?
Maybe not.
Brandon, are you in here?
Oh, maybe not.
All the NBA guys are on the phone, I guess.
Yeah.
I saw, I think they're just working out on their own. The other day I ran into KP just out and about, and he just said, you know, him and his guy are just getting in on the gym by themselves. I mean, it's nothing's organized for sure. So.
Gotcha.
Like we had that player. Oh, go ahead. Whoever was in.
No, sorry. Maybe Drew Hamlin can be touching about that. Can be interesting to hear his point of view on that.
For sure.
What does everybody think about what the Saints are doing right now?
What are the Saints doing, Paul?
Sean Payton just basically told everybody, we're not doing workouts. You're on your own. When you come to training camp, just be in the best shape of your life. Like they're not doing anything really.
Well, that's where my school is at. So like my guys are still messaging me, asking me for things that they can do, but my school is basically like no contact for the most part. Just go, they're on their own, let them finish their studies, etc., which I don't really love or agree with, but it's what they've requested. So that's where we're at.
What are the Packers doing is the real question, man.
We're working on a 2 quarterback system, kind of like the Saints. They got the Taysom Hill and Drew Brees thing. So I think that's what we're going for.
All right.
Be like a wishbone style. We'll see. I think they're going wide receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round. They've had some success wide receiver in the 2nd round over the years. So fingers crossed on that one.
Has anyone like put thought into like what they're gonna do when they get their guys back? Like obviously, I mean, we could tell them to be in the best shape of their life, but I know for some of our guards, best shape of their life isn't happening. So like, I don't know, has anyone thought about like kind of making sure they don't get hurt, but still kind of pushing them?
Yeah, I think for us, the big question is I'm a high school assistant in Texas. So we now get 2 hours a week with them on the court, and then they get an hour a day in the weight room. So typically we've done, last summer was the first year where we did like 2 or 3 workouts in the summer. But the question is, when do we get back? The biggest thing for us is going to be strength and conditioning, just because we lost a whole bunch of guys. And we've got a lot of JV and freshman kids coming up that are, between skill development and strength and conditioning, those are going to be the 2 big things.
Yeah, I think that's our biggest thing too, is our, like I said, it's going to be, I think it, like what was said, I think it's going to be the strength and conditioning for our girls, but we typically don't start until, I want to say until September. So, I mean, that's a ways away, but at that time, most of our girls have already played AAU and went through all of that stuff. So they've had time to do all of that. It's going to be different because nobody's playing any type of basketball games right now. It's all just working out from home and shooting in the backyard or the front yard. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for us, and especially for our JV team, because I know I have only 4 returners coming back. One is coming off of an ACL injury, and the other 3, they needed to develop a little bit more. And then I'm having the rest of them are going to be incoming freshmen. And like I said, June is typically when I work with the incoming freshmen, because that's when we're allowed to work with them. But if we don't get June, then it's going to have to rely on our fall league, which takes place in October. So I will have to rely on that.
For the people that are in high school, have your strength and conditioning coaches been sending out like at-home workouts? That's one thing that ours has been really good about. Every week he posts a different like series of workouts. He posts, different ones for different sports. And that's kind of been what we've been doing with our guys, is checking in on them with that.
What's kind of cool for us, because I'm at high school level like you are, Paul, we have this app that's called Volt. And so we have this way to put workout or like basically when we put our guys in our system and through Volt, it like creates workouts for our guys. So we have them kind of doing their own off-season program, and it's kind of unique. Like they put in their height, weight, and then areas where they're trying to improve upon, if they have any specific areas that they won't improve. And it will basically craft workouts customized for them. And it's not hard stuff. It's a lot of body weight because most of them don't have weights or whatever that is or whatever. So it's a lot of body weight stuff, and they can kind of craft it to how or what areas they're trying to improve. So Volt is kind of a neat app that our high school kids are using varsity through freshmen. And it's not mandatory. They can do it. They can do them if they want. But as coaches, we can see which guys are doing what stuff and what they've done. So that's kind of cool. It's a way for us to track them, and also it makes it easy because they get to kind of craft their own workouts, I guess, in a way. So gives them a little bit of empowerment on their own part. So that's what we're doing, at least.
Cool.
Yeah, I was shocked when we had that player, whoever asked about like what NBA guys are doing right now. We had that player trainer panel, I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And it was Shaq Harrison with the Bulls and Luke Cooper, who's his trainer. And like Shaq was just like, he was like, I haven't touched the ball since since they shut it down. And obviously I think he's in Chicago. So he's like in an apartment or a condo or something, and like doesn't have room to have like a hoop of his own or something. But it's just, that was mind boggling to me that like, here's a pro. I mean, there's nothing you can do, but like, here's a pro and he can't even get to a gym or a hoop or anything like that. It's wild.
And what was that thing? Steph Curry had to build his own hoop.
Yeah.
In his driveway or something to shoot.
Like he ordered it and had to put it together? Or
he like ordered it and put it together himself because he didn't have one at the house.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's funny. Brandon just texted me, any other suggestions or requests for speakers in terms of like, not necessarily specific people, although that's fine too, but types of speakers? We've kind of touched on a little bit of everything. We've had coaches talk X's and O's. We've had, leadership coaches, whatever, any ADs, agents, any requests?
I would be very interested in what Brandon just suggested about the return to play. I think that's a great idea because like as this gets longer and longer, which some are speculating it's going to be, some of our guys or girls are realistically just going to get farther and farther out of shape. So it's like when we return, how do we push them? How much can we expect from them? What's the threshold, et cetera? And I mean, a lot of us have backgrounds in it, but I'd like to hear some other experts talk about it and see what they say, especially like it's really unprecedented to not even be able to go to a park or play pickup with your friends kind of thing. Like guys that are going to be coming back are going to be really out of the game at that point.
I agree. Like that'd be huge if we could get someone to kind of talk about like the return of getting back to it. Like you said, like even the lazy ones will play pickup 2 or 3 times a week, but they're not even doing that. Like
right.
We have some guys who like in New York who are just straight lockdown, like not going outside. So
I think the mindfulness one that we did, Adam, was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. I think if we can have more of that on how to not drive ourselves crazy and maybe help our players in the process, that would be a big one.
Yeah, I love that one too. And I know Ashton typed in that she really enjoyed the session with Coach Dar. I wish we'd get those guys back all the time too. We probably can't get them back. Like Coach Dar is like big time. She gets paid a lot of money to speak, and she just kind of did Brandon a favor. But we can definitely like get people in those professions to come by and speak for sure. Matt, strength and conditioning, nutrition. Yeah, I think that's probably mental health. Yeah, that's probably what strength and conditioning is probably what we would do in terms of getting someone to talk about returning to play. So for sure, keep those ideas coming. That helps us a lot.
Hey, Adam, I had one other idea. I've been looking to get my FIBA license to be an agent. kind of another idea I had, and I'd love to hear from someone in the business that has done it and gone that route.
Like a player agent?
Correct. Yeah.
Would anyone else be interested in hearing from like a player's agent?
Yes.
Okay. There you
I'd
go.
also
Brandon.
be.
Me and Brandon have had that internal debate several times, and I was always like, what would they talk about? But we'll make it happen, Brandon.
I'd love to hear from like a player and coach's agent, like just kind of what high major coaches like ask for and get represented for.
We had Jason Belzer on there. If you haven't heard it, it's on the member site, but it's really good. He represents high major coaches, well, just coaches in general. But we can definitely work on getting another one.
I'd be interested.
Go
Sorry,
ahead, man.
obviously my viewpoint's a little bit skewed, obviously, but I'd be interested in something that was focused around like international, like both with the elements of going internationally overseas to coach somewhere and what's all involved behind that, but also as an international person trying to make it maybe in your market, like somebody who has done it before. Like I remember when I was with you guys at Charlotte, you guys had Coach Triano there, and that was of a lot of importance to me because obviously he's a Canadian as well from a similar area to where I'm at. But like just anything that has to do with international in terms of going over or coming to where you guys are and the processes that are behind closed doors, so to speak. How do you do it? How do you navigate getting an interview? How do you anything to do with that basically?
We've actually got a couple. So Ryan Pannone, I didn't mention him. He's going to come speak Monday. And he coached overseas for a long time. He's American, but he coached in Europe and China. So he'll be speaking. And the week after, we actually have an international coach who's now coaching college that's going to come speak on that topic specifically.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, so that would be good. And then we're also going to do like a panel of high school coaches who have made the jump to college. For anybody that's interested in that, that's definitely coming. Compliance. Somebody wrote in there compliance. I've got a compliance guy that, and sorry, Robert, if you're listening, I'm sure he's not. I think there's 2 people listening on YouTube. I've got a compliance guy who's great in terms of like, he knows the rules, but like compliance is like some boring stuff now, and he might put you to sleep. So
I will not be attending the compliance panel.
I might not attend either. Like I'll just but if
try to
there's enough people that
minimize-
really want that, we can make it happen.
Has there been a NBA panel yet?
We haven't had an NBA panel, but we've had several NBA coaches come speak.
Like
What
guys-
specifically would you like to hear them talk about?
guys that have like, gotten into the NBA through a internship or through the G League or something like that, and kind of how they got on that path?
For sure. Yeah, that's an easy one. We could do that easily. Anything else? Jorge, you missed my mom's cooking session. You want my mom back on it? Mom's a
I
chef,
definitely-
so you can tell her what
want
ingredients to
Mom
get in the
back.
kitchen. She'll tell you what to make.
Yeah, no, definitely want mom back for the cooking segment. My girlfriend would appreciate that.
High school coaches and college recruiting. What do you mean, Matt? Expand on that one.
So for someone like myself who also coaches club as well, and I know this was touched on at I think during the grassroots panel or discussion, for a lot of high school coaches like myself who want to learn more about college recruiting or how high school coaches can help a kid with their recruiting process, like jumpstarting their recruiting process and stuff like that. That would be something I would be interested in learning about, because it's something that I'm trying to learn about now, and I don't quite understand it from like a coaching perspective. I mean, I know it's about relationships and stuff like that, but I feel like there's more that can be expanded on it.
Well, Matthew, I'm actually working on a panel right now, and it's mainly targeted towards Michigan college coaches. But right now, I have a NAIA head coach, a Division II assistant, and I'm working on getting a JUCO head coach, all in Michigan. Just because I have this would be the year that all my 17U kids with the AAU program I coach, this would be the year that they'd be getting their most exposure. And we signed up for the New York to LA circuit, but it's likely that that's going to be canceled. So I'm actually putting together a circuit on that, or not a circuit, a panel for that, where one of my friends who is also an NAIA and D3 player will talk about his recruiting process. And that is going to be one of the topics that we touch on, is what high school coaches can do. So I'll be sure to post it in Rising Coaches once I end up getting all the details worked out. But I think that's something that also needs to be touched on, because I had a kid text me who he's like 6'5" and he averaged 12 and 10 at a big school, but he was like, oh, I don't have any offers or any interest. All my friends just say that I'm D1. I'm like, well, D1 coaches aren't saying that you're D1, so that doesn't really matter. But I'm just trying to guide the seniors who weren't kind of the seniors who didn't receive any guidance or assistance from their high school coaches, and then the juniors who are scared for their athletic careers. So I can definitely post that in Rising Coaches once it's all figured out.
Perfect. Yeah, because that's something that I'm also trying to learn, and I want to make sure when I have players that ask me through AAU, I want to guide them through it. I don't want to just say, oh yeah, well, I think it's like this. I want to be sure and put them in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing, because I do all the recruiting for me at the D3 level at Caltech. Not sure how familiar you are with all that, but a lot of it is looking at admissions too, especially at the D3 level. Don't send a coach a player that's not going to academically make it, or don't send a coach a 2020 when they're already past admissions deadlines and stuff like that, because then it's just, so getting ahead of the curve is kind of really important. I can connect with you after this, and we can kind of talk it through. I'll put my number in the chat if anyone wants to connect about kind of recruiting at the D3 level. I'd be happy to talk about it, talk your guys' ears off.
That'll be great, because I have the thing is, most of my, especially for my AAU team, most of them are young. Like I'm talking like maybe 2021s, and the rest of them are 2022. But a lot of them will ask me questions like that, and it's mainly my 2022s, and I go, well, based off of what I spoke with some coaches, they mentioned 2021s, and I was like, well, I don't know how early it is to to start showcasing them out there, saying, hey, look, I have this young lady, she's 2022, but that's like my biggest thing, and that's plus just learning the whole thing too. But I definitely want to be in contact and pick your brain on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Just shoot me a text, and we'll find a time that works for both of us.
Okay.
Pretty free. So, I can help on the women's side too. I work pretty closely, especially at the D3 level, where we're forced to. We don't have a huge backroom staff. There's only 2 or 3 assistants maybe. So we all work pretty closely.
Okay.
So I can definitely put you in contact with whoever, whatever.
Okay, I'll send you a text right now so you have my number.
Sounds good.
Hey, Dylan, make sure you hit me up about once you get details, so you're not overlapping with anyone. I want to make sure you don't overlap with anyone else's panel.
For sure.
And
Okay.
We'll help you market.
I was going to ask you, is there usually a limit on how many, or how does that work, on how many people can view it, or how does that?
On a Zoom call?
Yeah.
If you just have the basic like free package or whatever, you can only get 100 in at a time.
Okay, because one of the coaches was also telling me about if he's speaking to the players, then it can only be juniors and seniors per the NCAA rules. So I'm debating on just doing it where they're speaking and somebody can type it in the Q&A session, just so maybe sophomores and parents and coaches can also view.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, one thing you can do is like what we're doing now is like you do a Zoom call and you live stream it.
Yeah.
So you can make sure that everyone on the call itself is the appropriate age, and then you can just live stream it on YouTube or whatever. So if other people want to watch, I'm sure that wouldn't be breaking any rules for your guy.
Okay.
But we could talk about it later.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I want to wrap it up. This is great. Appreciate you guys. Last thing I'll mention is we're also going to do a quick tutorial next week. Lucio Sports, all of our members have free licenses to 2 of their different products, Sessions and Whiteboard. So they're going to do like a little tutorial on how to use those so that you guys can make sure you're taking advantage of that. Pretty cool stuff. Whiteboard is like you can animate plays and do a virtual playbook, and Sessions is like a player development tracking program, which is pretty unique. I don't know that there's much out there like it. So we'll fit that in next week as well. But I appreciate you guys. I'm going to go ahead and stop the live stream. I'll keep this open if anyone wants to